And can I just say the honorable mention is the Potato Hotel. Idaho, if you guys aren't aware, is very famous for its potatoes. And there's a hotel that you get to sleep in giant shaped potato hotel rooms. And that's pretty cool. Like you're basically staying like a little like rental villa, but it's a potato.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 215.
And again, Christopher is wearing his Stetson.
This may be one of the last episodes I can for a while. I always embrace it.
I feel like sometimes you just wear it because you feel like it.
You know, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.
He's also, again, wearing running clothes because he's going to go for a run after we record this. So he, again, picture Christopher, if you know what he looks like, in his running clothes, his glasses, and his Stetson. It's a look.
It lets the people know that I am active, intellectual,
You should just run in your Stetson.
and rugged.
I mean, instead of using like a ball cap, you can just run in
Maybe.
your Stetson.
There is an ultra runner who wears a cowboy hat when he ultra runs.
That's like he's got to do it because it's like
He's
the
like
brand.
the ultra running cowboy or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't restrict it to when I run. I'll just say that.
Wonderful.
This is such a fun series.
Mm-hmm.
I love this series.
Mostly because he gets to wear a Stetson for some
No,
of the episodes.
that's not the only reason. It is it's tough. It really is. But it was also a lot of fun. Like I feel like so if this is your first episode, we are in the second episode of a series that was actually recommended by one of our listeners, where we were asked to come up with the one thing to do in each U.S. state, right? So whether it is like you are going to visit this city or this park or this museum or what have you, you have to pick the one thing. And I feel like this was really, really difficult this episode.
Yeah, because we had a lot of states that it's known for quite a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some states, it's hard to narrow it down. Some states, I would say Ohio included for a lot of people. Unless you've been to Ohio, you may not be familiar with like what's here. Mm-hmm. It may be like, oh my gosh, what do I pick for this? Mm-hmm. And like, you have to do some research as to what Ohio offers. But it is neat just from the perspective of like learning more about, I guess, our own backyard. Mm-hmm. And yeah, coming up with what's essentially like a U.S. bucket list.
Yes, but just for each state.
One thing for each state.
Yeah.
And
it proves that every state has something cool to offer. Because I think a lot of people think, especially the states, sort of the flyover states, quote unquote, that includes Ohio, some of the Midwest and things like that, and some of the West. It's just, there's more to do than you think.
There is.
Yeah, you just gotta dig a little deep and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we start talking about the West, do you have a highlight from this past week?
We've had a fun week. I think Thursday was a lot of fun. We did our local wine bar that we go to or we frequent, Market Avenue Wine. They had a wine tasting that had like a meals, like dinner and stuff prepared with it. And yeah, we got to do a French wine tasting. So it was Chardonnay and Burgundy for the most part. And I think
Champagne and Burgundy.
Or sorry, Chardonnay and Burgundy. Champagne and Burgundy. So that was fun too. We learned a lot about champagne, which is great since I'm going in like a little over a week. And it was a lot of fun, and it was paired with different things. They just made, the people that run it as like a family, and they made a bunch of different courses, and it was really funny because at one point they asked if anyone spoke French. And so it's an Italian family.
Yep.
And the father speaks French and Italian, and I was like the only other person that like raised my hand, and they called me up there to pronounce coq au vin. And so I had to do that. I thought at first I was really nervous. I was like, what are they going to make me do? Like translate something? Like I'm not like fully fluent, but yeah, so that was a good time. And then I sat down, and the father who was helping serve sat down with all of us and was asking why I wasn't eating my coq au vin. And I just had to eat it because I wasn't going to at first, since Chris and I mostly eat vegetarian at home. But
I ate mine.
But as someone, after watching Christopher claim he was vegetarian before Piedmont,
I have learned my lesson.
Yeah. I was just like, whatever, I'll eat it. Like, I'm not gonna.
Someone cook something for me?
Yeah.
It's gonna be eaten.
I'm not gonna insult the Italian grandfather who's like serving us the food.
Yes. Yeah, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
My highlight was yesterday. We got together with family to celebrate my dad's birthday. Mm-hmm. I went on a 20-mile run, which was like a huge confidence boost for a marathon that's coming up here. Mm-hmm. And it was a nice little lead into ultra marathon season. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It was all on road, which was like good for the marathon, but not my usual forte, but it was good.
Knees are feeling a little today. I did not run 20. I ran 11 since I'm doing the half marathon.
Which is still a long run.
Well, yeah, it is a long run. I felt it.
Yeah. How are you feeling today?
Fine. It's just going up and down stairs. My knees are like, you ran a lot yesterday, and you can feel it now.
Yeah. So breaking in those new shoes?
Yeah. I'm glad we stretched. I don't feel as sore today after like stretching. We stretched for like a long time afterward.
So I am going for a run after this, and I am going to have you lead me through that stretch routine again when I get back.
It was great.
I look forward to
stretches.
It. Anything else you want to chat about before we do episode 2 of this series?
I don't think so. I'm pumped to get started talking about the West.
Yes.
The Wild West.
Well,
what a great movie back in the day. Was it Wild Wild West?
With Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw it.
You what?
No. Correct.
Such a good movie.
Well, maybe we'll add it to the list.
I mean, as a kid, I was like, this is so cool. I don't know. I haven't seen it as an adult, so who knows? But it was a good time.
Okay.
Back in the day. Action, adventure, all the things.
It sounds like Lion King.
Yeah. Romance. Sounds like Lion King.
Sounds like Lion King. Alrighty. So, as I was kind of talking about at the top of the episode, the premise of this series, which was recommended to us by one of our listeners, is that you have to pick one thing to do in each state, whether that's visit a city, whether that's do something else. Last episode 214, we did the Southwest. Now we are doing the West, and we used National Geographic has like a map of the United States where they break it out into regions, and that's the map that we are using. So we're doing the West this episode. There's 11 states, so it's a little longer than the 4 that were in the Southwest last week. Yeah. Before we start, are there any changes to your approach after last episode? Because now we'll have 15 out of 50 after this. Like, how are you thinking about this?
I mean, I've done some things like national parks, that sort of thing, but also just in some general stuff for some of the states. I don't know. Well, I think it'll make more sense when we get into it.
Some general stuff, like soak up the sun.
No, it'll make more sense when we get into it. What about you?
I think I kind of know where you're going with this. I feel like for me, I default to nature and natural parks or national parks a lot. So I am trying to think of this kind of like how I described last episode of like as a big puzzle, right? So how are you going to fit each slice into the wheel of Americana?
Well, and
that's what I'm going for.
The United States has every biome available in the world. So I think it makes a lot of sense that the national parks and other and state parks and stuff would do pretty well. I also think that's one of my favorite things about traveling in the United States is visiting our national parks. They're really beautiful. So yeah, it doesn't shock me at all that that's going to pop up a lot during this. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and start.
Yeah.
The first state here in the West that we are going to talk about is Alaska.
Yes, because Hawaii and Alaska are included in the West, according to National Geographic's map. That's what we're going with.
Yes. What is your one thing to do in Alaska?
In Alaska?
Can I guess it?
Sure.
Is it Katmai?
Yeah.
I thought it was
Katmai National Park. I wrote down Fat Bear Week. And if you guys don't know this, Katmai National Park, every national park, part of the National Park Service has like an Instagram page. All the national parks do. And so Katmai National Park's Instagram page always has a Fat Bear Week every year. And it's right before the bears go into hibernation. And they vote on their Instagram, since the bears are fattening themselves up for winter to get through winter. They eat lots of salmon and lots of things to prepare for that. They vote on which bear who has gained the most weight or looks the biggest, and they'll post. So anyway, during Fat Bear Week, so they will show you a before and after photo. So photos of them kind of scrawny and skinny at the beginning of the year when they emerge from hibernation, and then right before they go into hibernation, what they look like. And you kind of vote on the bear that has kind of had the biggest change. And I think, was it 747 or was the one that won? Like some of them, they all have different names because I guess they recognize these certain bears. Was the winner. I think it beat out the long-time champion or something. But it's just really fun to look on their page. You can also vote for the fat bear or the fattest bear in the fall. But anyway.
Is that your one thing, is to do Fat Bear Week?
No. I think that's really cool. But the biggest reason to go, I feel like, to Katmai National Park is the grizzly bear runs. To go see the salmon runs for the grizzly bears. There's a famous area where you'll see a lot of them in the river catching salmon. Preparing for hibernation or just eating around the summertime and things like that. But there are also other things to see in Katmai National Park. The Valley of 10,000 Smokes is a cool area. It is an ash flow from an eruption from, I think it was in 1912. Yeah, so it was an eruption that caused this formation, and now you can go visit that. There's also boating, hiking, flight seeing, things like that you can do at Katmai National Park. But of course, for me, it's the chance to see grizzly bears in the wild, hanging out with salmon runs, trying to get dinner. Yeah.
Nice.
And then vote on which one is the fattest before hibernation.
So Katmai was up there for me as well.
That's like the one I want to see the most. I think it's because it's the highest chance of seeing a grizzly bear probably will be in Katmai because you go specifically to that area where they frequent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was definitely up there for me as well, but I chose Denali National Park. Mm-hmm. It's a place I've been before as a child, but it offers a ton of hiking options, including some long day hikes, which I am always a fan of. There's a 9.5 mile hike that pretty much goes through the park, Savage River Loop. There is a 12-mile hike that goes to the base of a glacier. Stunning peaks, sprawling wilderness, and the opportunity for wildlife sightings. So when we were in Denali, we did not hike. We had my grandmother with me, and she was just not going to hike.
Cool.
Validly so.
Yeah.
But we did a nice drive through the park, and we saw a ton of wildlife just driving through. But Denali is home to a bunch of different wildlife, including Dall sheep, moose, caribou, grizzly bears, wolves, porcupines. Just a ton of wildlife.
Did you see a porcupine while you were there?
We did not. No, we saw Dall sheep. I can't remember if we saw a moose or not, but I know we saw caribou. I know we saw grizzly. Saw a lot of beautiful birds as well. They have osprey, they have falcons, they have hawks, that kind of stuff. So really, really neat national park, and that is my number one thing to do in Alaska.
Yeah, and speaking of national parks, isn't your Stetson the national park approved hat?
Most likely, national park approved, America approved, just general
John
lifestyle.
B. Stetson approved.
General lifestyle approved.
Okay.
And most importantly, worldwide honeymoon approved.
That is debatable.
That is not debatable. You own one as well.
Yeah, for safari specifically.
Catherine, we don't need to get into semantics right now. Number 2, the second state that we are going to talk about in the West is California.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first
Okay.
because I don't know if we have the same thing. I think it would be hard.
This was the most difficult state for me.
California is tough. California is a big state. It has a lot of national parks, great cities. I mean, you've got, Joshua Tree, Death Valley, Yosemite.
San Diego.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm talking about national parks.
You said cities too.
Well, yeah, Sequoia National Park, Redwoods, so many great places. Then you have San Diego, which is my favorite city, San Francisco, LA, lots of cool things.
San Diego's your favorite city?
I love it was favorite city in the U.S.
I did not know that San Diego was your favorite U.S. city.
Yeah, I love it. Ever since we went. Yeah.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's mostly because of the sea lions. No, I'm just
there
kidding.
It is.
No, it is a really nice city. But yeah, I think that California obviously has a lot to offer, from mountains to beaches and all things in between. But my pick, and this was more generalized, are the wine regions of California. Please don't tell me you picked the same thing.
I did not.
Oh, good.
The wine regions.
Wine regions.
All of them, north to south.
Well, I think because they're so good, it's like out of world-renowned wine, if you're going to get something from the United States, it's going to probably be from California. If we're talking about competing with Italy, France, Argentina, Spain, I could rattle off more, but if it's going to compete with that, it's probably going to be a Californian wine. It is known for, out of the United States, having some of the best wine. I mean, there's wine probably grown in almost every single state, but I think because California has so many different climates and microclimates, that it's a better state for growing of various types of grapes, that it just works. And not to cut, hey, Oregon has some good wine, the Willamette Valley. You've got Washington State that has some good stuff too. They make some good, mostly Pinot Noirs and that sort of thing. But
go to bed, other states.
No, I'm not. I don't want to discount from that.
No, I know what you mean.
But I think since California again has all those various microclimates, it is so good for making all of these various types of wine and making it really, really well.
Yeah. And it probably has the largest international distribution footprint.
Yes,
yeah.
That too. So there's Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, which includes the Santa Ynez Valley, which we love, Napa, Sonoma, Temecula, so many different ones. California's such a great place for wine. You can get anything from Zinfandel, Cab Sav, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Chardonnay, Merlot, Sauvignon Blanc, so many different varieties of wine, and it's going to be pretty good quality. I mean, depending on the producer and things like that.
Excellent quality.
Yeah. So I think that if you're going to go to California, definitely take a chance to go wine tasting. I think that might be the number one thing to do.
That's
because
pretty sweet.
It's such a unique thing in California.
Yeah.
Versus other states. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're going to be surprised about mine.
Okay.
I did not go with a national park.
Okay.
And I did not go with wine.
Did you go with the city?
I did.
Which one?
San Diego.
I love San Diego.
Yeah, I went with San Diego. So, this was tough, right? Because I'm kicking around Yosemite and Redwoods and Death Valley and all of that kind of stuff. But I went with San Diego because number one, I don't want to say that those, especially Redwoods, right? But could other national parks be duplicative of some experiences you could have in other national parks? Not exactly, but I know that there's people out there that are look, a mountain's a mountain, right? A river's a river.
Yeah, I will say Joshua Tree is very unique.
Yeah.
And I will say Death Valley is very unique.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what makes it tough. There's so many great national
It is
parks.
tough. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was between San Francisco, which I've never visited but would love to visit,
Mm-hmm.
and San Diego, and I chose San Diego. The reason I chose San Diego is because it has a little bit of everything, right? So, it has the San Diego Zoo, which is routinely voted one of the nation's best zoo.
If not one of the best zoos, one of the best
In
in
the
the
world.
world. It's a
Yeah.
very, very nicely done zoo.
It offers fantastic beaches. You have Pacific Beach. You have La Jolla. What are the animals that are on the beach?
sea lions and seals.
There you go. There is there's the opportunity to visit museums in Balboa Park. You'll have some of the best food that you will have. I mean, it's right on the coast. There's
You're very close to Mexico, so the food is going to be very good.
yes,
Yeah.
I had some amazing tacos when we were there. There's also the opportunity to, if you want to get out a little bit, there's the Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. And there's also just like a laid back vibe to San Diego. And I feel like that's something when people think of California, I think that they think of like the vibe or the atmosphere, right? Like the environment itself.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's so difficult to try to pin down one thing, but that's why I kind of copped out and picked San Diego so that you could pick all of the things in San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like San Diego.
I do as well.
It's a good choice.
All right, number 3 is Colorado. And I think you've gone first both times, so I will go first this time.
Okay.
I picked the Mesa Verde National Park.
Okay.
Is that what you picked?
No.
Oh, okay,
No.
good. So Mesa Verde National Park is homed to preserved dwellings that are on or in cliffs built by ancient Puebloans that inhabited this area around 500 to 1200 AD. So long time ago, right? One of the most famous is the Cliff Palace, which has 150 different rooms. So there's the opportunity for hiking, for exploring, for learning more about the ancient Puebloans, also the culture, also the history, the architecture, all of that kind of stuff within Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde National Park. Sorry, I almost said natural park. This was another really tough state for me, but what did you pick in Colorado?
I picked Rocky Mountain National Park.
Okay.
So another national park to go see. Mountains, forest, you've got some tundra. You could go. We had a friend that went in the wintertime and they absolutely loved going in the wintertime for those beautiful snowy mountains and things. But there's a lot of great hiking opportunities and lots of great wildlife. Elk, bighorn sheep, moose, otters in some areas, marmots, lots of great opportunities for that. And you can stay near Estes Park and kind of go in. I remember our friend who went said he was very surprised by Gatlinburg because he went with us to the Smokies and he was like, Estes Park is much more laid back than Gatlinburg is. It's like a smaller town as you head into Rocky Mountain National Park. Nothing wrong with Gatlinburg, but yeah, it's just a much bigger, more built up city than I guess Estes Park is.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rocky Mountains.
Number 4 is Hawaii.
And I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. I chose Volcanoes National Park.
Okay.
Did you as well?
No.
Really?
No, I did not. I have my reasons.
Wow.
Continue.
Okay. So I chose Volcanoes National Park. It offers caves, overlooks, craters, combination of hiking with scenic drives. There is the Crater Rim Drive Tour. There is the Chain of Craters Road. So a lot of it can be explored within the comfort of your own vehicle. There's also the opportunity to kind of get out just on your feet here, see steam vents, hike something called the Devastation Trail, see different volcanic arches. There's petroglyphs, there's lava tubes. It's just kind of that atmosphere and that environment that is so unique because of the geological history that it's a no-brainer that this is the thing to do in Hawaii.
Yeah, and I thought of that first, but there's a place I really want to go to in Hawaii.
Kauai?
That's on the island of Kauai, and that is Napali Coast State Wilderness Park.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you picture Kauai, if you guys know what Kauai looks like, it has these dramatic sea cliff,
yes.
green cliffs kind of jutting or heading into the ocean.
Jurassic Park.
Yep, it's one of the most recognizable and beautiful coastlines in the world. Several movies were filmed in this area, including Tropic Thunder, King Kong, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and then you may recognize it from movies like Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, that sort of thing. Those were all filmed on the island of Kauai at some point. But you get to see the dramatic sea cliffs. There's some great hiking. There are waterfalls, there are valleys, there are streams, really cool things to see. But I think the biggest thing is walking along and seeing just the dramatic cliffs and the coast below would be absolutely stunning.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is also...
And going to be less frequented than probably Hawaii Volcanoes National Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty impressive that we are 4 states into this and we have not had a single agreement here.
Yeah.
Which is good. Number 5 is Idaho. Do you want to go first here?
Oh, yeah. You struggled with this one, and I remember seeing...
well, I didn't struggle with it, but like...
Not that it was bad. There's lots of great things in Idaho.
There wasn't something that immediately came to mind.
Yes. I had one that immediately came to mind as
What
soon
was
as
that?
I thought Sun Valley.
Maybe this is going to be the intro. What is Sun Valley?
Sun Valley is a famous ski resort area.
I have never heard of this,
Okay.
but I am also not a skier.
Yeah. Sun Valley, definitely, it's a great ski place. You can go snowmobiling, paragliding. You know, it's great for the winter, but also in the summertime. There are also nearby hot springs. So some natural hot springs in there. In the summer, there's great hikes. I mean, you've got all these mountains here in the area to go and check out. But Sun Valley, for sure. I mean, between the hot springs that you can go visit and the winter wonderland within the mountains and stuff, it's a little less, I guess as popular as Aspen or other places like that. But yeah, Sun Valley would be a cool place to go skiing in Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
We are still 5 for 5 on disagreement here. Not disagreement, but offering options.
Okay.
Mine is Craters of the Moon National Monument.
Oh, okay.
Did you see this when you were looking around?
I did.
Okay. So this has lava flows. There is a 7-mile loop road scenic drive. If you guys are like me and you cannot picture Craters of the Moon National Monument, well, now I can because I looked it up. But like, if I'm saying those words and it does not immediately bring to mind an image of what it is, go ahead and look it up because it looks just nuts. So there's the scenic drive. There's the Inferno Cone and the Spatter Cone, which are also, or which are actually mini volcanoes that you can hike on. There is...
Are they active?
No, I don't believe they are.
Okay.
There is there's the Devil's Orchard Trail, which is a whole bunch of cinder beds. There's the Wilderness Trail. There's Big Craters Trail. There's the Indian Tunnel. There's the opportunity to go caving. It's just one of those places that you kind of have to like see with your own eyes to believe, I feel. So that was why it made my top thing to do in Idaho.
And can I just say the honorable mention is the Potato Hotel. Idaho, if you guys aren't aware, is very famous for its potatoes. And there's a hotel that you get to sleep in giant shaped potato hotel rooms. And that's pretty cool. Like you're basically staying like a little like rental villa, but it's a potato.
Okay.
So.
I mean, certainly up there.
Certainly.
Number 6 is Montana.
Do
you want to talk about this together?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to choose the same thing.
All right.
Glacier National Park.
Oh, really?
Okay, will you stop it?
Mine is also Glacier National Park.
Yeah. We spent a full week in Glacier National Park in 2021, and honestly, I feel like we just barely scratched the surface, but totally worth it. The wildlife there is fantastic. Again, you've got both grizzly and black bears, moose, bighorn sheep, marmots, ground squirrels that are adorable, and they're like right on the trail. mountain lions, deer, wolves, things like that. Absolutely incredible. We had some phenomenal sightings. We saw a moose drinking out of one of the rivers. We followed a moose on a trail for a long time before she finally got off the trail. We never saw the bear, but we saw tons of bighorn sheep. Was it doll sheep?
No, mountain goats.
Mountain goats. We saw lots of those. We saw some marmots. Got some cute photos of marmots. Lots of ground squirrels and things like that. But absolutely stunning. The mountains are wonderful. It's a place you can go whitewater rafting. That's something that we did in the Flathead River. Great hikes. We did the Highline Trail, to Granite Park Chalet. We did Grinnell Glacier, up to the glacier, and we hiked around Two Medicine, that area as well, to a couple waterfalls. You can do Going to the Sun Road, where you make stops along the way. We did that one day, and it was a lot of fun going the entire span of that. And the drive there through the mountains, especially through the Mountain Pass near Logan Visitor Center, is absolutely incredible.
Stunning.
It is so beautiful. Will you be nervous about it because there's not a lot of road and it just drops off? Yes, but it is absolutely beautiful. And then lakes. Lake McDonald with the colorful rocks. There's Avalanche Lake that we hiked to from Going to the Sun Road. Grinnell Lake, Hidden Lake, which is known for grizzly bears. We hiked to that area. Just Iceberg Lake, lots of really cool stuff. So, Glacier National Park, that's where it's at.
We also went rafting.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, did you? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And we were able to jump in at the end, and that is fed by glacial water. So to be able to swim in glacial water. Yes, it was freezing. But yeah, I think that was so cool. And of course, the most important thing, to see glaciers.
Yes.
There are glaciers that you can hike to, and even one or two that you can see. I think only one you can see from Going to the Sun Road, and then you can hike to see others.
If you had to recommend one hike in Glacier, what would it be?
I would say the hike to Grinnell Glacier.
Okay.
Yeah, hike up to that, because you pass by two lakes. It's really beautiful. That's where we saw wildlife, like a lot of wildlife. And then, then we got to hang out. You go right up to the glacier or to the lake, and you see those little icebergs popping off of the glacier. We saw at Calving, which is where some of the ice breaks off. And we got to eat lunch up there, and then we hiked back down.
It was pretty cool.
That was cool. What about you?
Mine would be the Highline Trail,
The trail.
Highline Trail, but also adding the Grinnell Glacier overlook.
That was the most brutal hike, because in less than a mile, I think it was a 900-foot elevation gain.
It whooped me.
Whew. And with the elevation you already have, like you're already, it's not like you're starting from like the ocean, like elevation 0 to like 900.
One of the coolest lunches of my life, though.
It was really cool. We did hang out there, because then you've got this huge bird's eye view over Grinnell Glacier, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 7 is Nevada.
You want to go first?
Did you say Nevada or Nevada?
Nevada.
I say both.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine is somewhere where I've never been, but you have been.
Okay.
The Las Vegas Strip.
Oh, it's a good one.
Is that what you picked?
No.
Really? Okay.
But I'm glad we have different things.
I am too.
Yeah.
So there has been something about the Las Vegas Strip where like I'm not like there's a part of me that wants to go and there's a part of me that's like I don't want to go.
That's how I felt about it before I went. Yeah, I'll be honest that before I went, I'm not a gambler. I'm not trying to go to these clubs, like the day clubs, the night clubs. So I was like, is there really something to do? But honestly, there's something for everyone in Vegas.
So for me, the big draw is the clubs.
No, it's okay.
You know,
but the Strip is super fun because it has all of these themed hotels, and a lot of them have activities.
And that's what I wrote down. I wrote down, yes, there's gambling. Yes, there's kind of like the party atmosphere and everything. The big thing to me is the restaurants and the shows.
Yeah.
Like the opportunity for like the entertainment and to just kind of mosey up and down the Strip and kind of experience all of the different things that like I've only seen in pictures from your trip.
And yeah, the opportunity to dine at restaurants from like you take your pick of your favorite celeb chef or any big big wig chef in the industry. They pretty much all have a restaurant in Vegas. And so you can take your pick of where you want to eat, and the food's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool. If you go to New York, there's a roller coaster. If you go to the Venetian, you can, walk around the inside. It looks like Venice, or you could take the gondola ride. The Bellagio always has like a really cool installment. And they have like a big open, like cool area where they have like something. I think they were celebrating Chinese New Year when I went. So it had like beautiful, art displays for that, which was cool. So lots to see and do. We went up the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel, yeah, lots of cool things. But I actually picked a day trip that we took from Las Vegas, and that is to Valley of Fire State Park.
Okay.
This area looks like Mars. It is orange and red, and it's so vibrant. There's the fire wave. If you guys have not seen that, it's basically just from all of these different rocks over the years. It's formed these waves, but they're layered, how like they're different colors, and it gets like deep orange to like a light tan, and it's a really beautiful thing to go and hike out to the fire wave. The White Domes Trail is really cool. There are slot canyons that you can hike between, lookout spots. The landscape, again, it's otherworldly. We saw lots of bighorn sheep while we were there. There are lots of rock formations like Arch Rock, Elephant Rock, the beehives, all look like they're described. There's a chance to see petroglyphs from ancient peoples. And then there's also a fantastic viewpoint along. There's an epic viewpoint, if you've probably seen it on Instagram or other places, of it's on Mouse's Tank Road. There's a little rock and a parking area. You park, get up on the rock, and then you have this awesome photo opportunity of this road. But almost seems like it's in the middle of nowhere amongst all of these amazing rock formations and things. So definitely worth checking out the Valley of Fire State Park for a day.
Awesome. All right. We are moving on to state number 8 in the West, which is Oregon. Mm-hmm. What did you pick for Oregon?
I picked the Oregon coast.
The entire coast of Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot to see and do. First of all, it looks like super moody and gloomy. It's not like you're going to go out and get a suntan and not that it doesn't get sunny, but it's not like going to the beach in Florida. You know what I mean? Or Southern California.
You're really selling this. It's very gloomy.
But it's cool that it has that. But some cool things to check out there. There's lots of small towns along the way. There is lots of views of the ocean, caves, a lighthouse. There's tide pools that would be so cool to check out. There's always lots of little critters in tide pools. It's just very dramatic looking, especially with the rock formations. Like if you go to Cannon Beach, there's a Haystack Rock. Small towns, cool rock formations, tide pools. All of that would be amazing to see in the Oregon coast. And then also, if you want, and if you're a big cheese fan, there's the Tillamook Creamery in Tillamook.
Always
nearby.
a big cheese fan.
Yeah. Place you can stop by on your Oregon coast road trip. What about you?
The Oregon Trail.
Not the Oregon Trail, the Oregon coast.
Mine, I chose Bend, Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, the opportunity for just a ton of both outdoor activities, but also some nature, some killer like breweries. Mm-hmm. So you have the opportunity to go rafting, hiking, skiing. There's a ton of waterfalls. There are volcanic areas. There are, like I said, some of the best breweries within the United States in the area. And then there's also the Cascade Lakes Scenic Byway that goes through the Deschutes National Forest. Mm-hmm. So really just kind of a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. I have never been to Bend. I've never been to Oregon. Yeah. But I know that your sister and brother-in-law went to Bend, and
they love it.
They loved it. Yeah. So it's just an area that I've always heard such positive things about, not just from them, but from other people who have been as well, that I was like, man, this is a place I got to get to. This is a place that's my number one here. Number 9 is Utah.
Yeah, and where to begin with Utah?
Yeah.
You've got the nation's mighty 5 national parks.
Did you pick one of them?
Yes. Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Which
well,
one did you
maybe
pick?
they're not the same. I picked Bryce Canyon National Park.
All right. Tell me about Bryce Canyon.
Bryce Canyon, one of my best friends lived in Salt Lake for a bit during her pharmacy residency, and she went to all of the Mighty 5. Loved them, camped in them, hiked in them. Bryce Canyon was her favorite. And it's very beautiful. There's the Southern Scenic Drive, which is 18 miles. It's very beautiful to go and see these beautiful rock formations, the Rim Trail, Bryce Amphitheater, which includes these irregular rock spires, which is really, really cool to see. And you remember, it's this deserty area similar to Valley of Fire State Park, where it's got these reds and oranges and different colors for these rock formations. So it's really, really, really cool to see. And then, of course, the chance to spot wildlife like elk, pronghorns, and then some falcons and stuff too. So really cool area, beautiful scenery, especially with the rock formations. And absolutely, I think that would be the coolest one, especially Bryce Amphitheater is certainly the biggest thing to see for the rock spires.
Nice.
What about you?
I picked Zion.
And that one is the most visited national park
I believe
in
it's
Utah.
I believe it's also Utah's first national park.
Yes.
I mean, when I think Utah, I think of Zion. And there's just so many kind of like iconic images that come to mind. The Narrows is one that I would love to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely love to do. A friend of mine went to Zion with his girlfriend last year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, talking about the Narrows, talking about Canyon Overlook, Angel's Landing.
That one's always such a popular hike.
Well, it has that narrow ridge with the huge drops on either side.
Yeah. I believe you need permits for the Narrows and Angels.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's also there's the observation point. There's also the Canyon Junction, which offers incredible views, especially at sunset.
Yes, all of these parks are fantastic for watching the night sky because
yes.
I'm not sure if they all have an International Dark Sky Park certification or part of that, but there's not a lot of civilization, in the parks, obviously. So great night skies.
Yeah. Alrighty, number 10.
Also, I want to point out, too, do not discount the visitor centers. Definitely, I mean, whether or not you want to get your, national parks passport stamp or pick one up at the visitor center, a lot of visitor centers, depending on the ones you go to, can actually have fantastic museums about the flora and fauna, the indigenous peoples that have lived in the area, the history of it, how it became to be a national park. They're very insightful, so I actually recommend stopping by a visitor center no matter what national park you go to just to see what they have, especially sort of the main one.
Absolutely.
Those always have some pretty illuminating things in it. So
yeah,
worth checking out. Number 10, Washington.
Washington. Mm-hmm. And I will go first with this one. Mine is the San Juan Islands.
Oh, I had the chance to go there when I was in Seattle. And
did you enjoy them?
No, I said I had the chance, but I didn't go.
Oh, I thought you meant like I was lucky enough to have had the opportunity.
So I had 3 day trip options. So I was there for work when I was working in public accounting for a week. And we went the weekend before. Like we flew in on a Friday. And Friday we explored, Saturday we explored. And then Sunday was sort of a day for a day trip. And I had 3 options: Mount Rainier National Park, Olympic National Park, or the San Juan Islands. And I ended up just picking Mount Rainier. They all seem like really good choices, so it was hard to choose.
Hike up Mount Rainier?
No. I mean, it takes like...
Summited?
No. It's not something you can just do in a day.
You do have a pretty amazing picture of you on Mount Rainier, though.
That is in the Paradise Falls area. There's a parking lot, and then you can walk... I don't even think it's a mile in, and it was in the middle of June, so it was warm outside, but the snow was so thick, it was still there. So there's a photo of me on top of, in the Paradise Falls area, just kind of hiking around before it was maybe a mile hike that I did in total, but
it's awesome.
I took a photo there, and it was really fun. But yeah, Washington. Let's talk about the San Juan Islands. Sorry, I didn't mean to just like go off topic there.
No, you're good.
Continue your San Juan Islands.
Lot of opportunity to do outdoor activities again. You have boating, you have kayaking, you have hiking, you have bicycling. But the big draw for me to the San Juan Islands is, in my opinion, what they're famous for is whale watching. So you have the opportunity to see orca, humpback, gray whales. You also have the opportunity to see sea lions, which are not whales. But
I mean, I guess they're like mini whales.
Mini whales. They're just in reading about it. If you want to kind of maximize your chance to see whales, right? Like, I mean, they're animals, so they're not just like waiting to be seen.
Yeah.
You're going to want to hire some sort of private guide or something like that to
Or
kind
go
of
on a
maximize
tour.
your
Yeah.
chances. Yeah. But don't just expect to like arrive and see them, obviously. But yeah, for me, the big thing was whale watching here. Especially because I'm looking at the other things that I chose, and like Alaska kind of comes to mind when you think of whale watching, but I chose Denali, right? Like Hawaii comes to mind. I chose Volcanoes National Park. So I'm like, man, really want to see whales.
San Juan Island.
San Juan Islands. What about you?
I chose Olympic National Park.
Okay, so before we recorded this episode, we were eating lunch, and this morning I've been talking to one of my friends about like which national parks are up there on your list to like go see. So I asked you the same question, and you said Katmai, and I was like, okay, well there's her Alaska, and then you said Olympic. And I was like, really? Like over Zion, over Yellowstone,
No,
over
I
Grand
said Yellowstone
Canyon.
first, and then Katmai,
I thought
and then
Olympic was your
Olympics.
number 2.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But like still, I mean like over Acadia or over Yosemite, I was like Olympic, huh? Like I had never just like in my mind put Olympic that high. But when you said it, I was like, okay, there's her Washington. But tell me about Olympic.
Well, Olympic National Park has so much to offer between, I mean, you've got the Hoh Rainforest, which is up there for me with the Hall of Mosses. And guys, this is like full green everywhere. There's moss everywhere. It looks like a Dr. Seuss forest exploded there. Looks really cool. I definitely want to go see that. Then lots of great hiking and camping opportunities there. But then you have the shoreline. Again, a moody shoreline. I guess that might be my thing. Tide pools, really, really cool to see. And then also the opportunity to go stargazing. There's lots of wildlife between bear, elk, marmot, goats, whale watching as well in Olympic National Park, especially if you're on the shoreline there. But yeah, I think it would be a cool area to go and check out between the shorelines and the forests and just the flora and the fauna, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Washington has a lot of cool things too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So the last state that we are going to be talking about today is Wyoming. Do you want to talk about this one together?
Sure.
Alrighty. Cheyenne. Capital of Wyoming.
Yeah.
I chose Yellowstone National Park.
Same.
Yeah.
Yellowstone.
So Yellowstone is the world's first national park, right? Offers the opportunity for thermal basins, hiking, boating, biking, horseback riding. But I feel like a big draw to the national parks themselves are the opportunity for wildlife sightings. And here you have grizzlies, bison, black bears, wolves, bighorn sheep, moose, elk. I mean, your
Tons of wildlife in Yellowstone.
yeah, your brother went to Yellowstone with his family 2 years ago, I believe. And they have incredible footage of wildlife. Just like, I mean, they're driving down the road and there's bison right there.
Yeah. And also, of course, you've got the geysers. You have the Old Faithful. There are also Grand Prismatic Springs. All of these really cool, colorful, again, it looks like another planet in Yellowstone National Park too. So these cool springs and geysers, a lot of that kind of volcanic geothermal activity happening. And then you also have the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, which is cool to see. So lots of cool points in there, as well as wildlife and hiking and stargazing and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am pretty surprised that out of 11 states, we only agreed on 2 for the
Yeah.
top thing to do, which is pretty cool because,
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing we want is for both of us to be like, hey, this is it, right?
And this is why we don't like show each other a list before we get started.
Yeah. Were there any that I said where you're like, oh, that was a good one, I think I would change mine?
No, I really like mine. Bend was a good one for Oregon. I will give you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that I am I'm pretty comfortable in mine as well. It is neat because there were a few states like Utah, right? I knew that I was going to pick one of the big five.
The Mighty Five.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Mighty Five. Colorado, I was going back and forth between Mesa Verde and Rocky Mountain. Alaska, I was going back and forth between Denali and Katmai. So it's cool that even though like my number 2 didn't make it, it was your number 1.
Yeah. So there you have it, the top things to do in the States, especially, well, we focused on the West today. I believe next time we're going to be talking about the Midwest, where we are based. And yeah, let us know your thoughts. Do you guys agree with this list? Do you guys have other things that you would recommend instead? You can always reach out to us on Twitter at WW Honeymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.